Today we will be talking about my portfolio.
Researching what shelters you can go to adopt these pets, meeting your pet and interview and evaluating and confirming your pet.
Your nails are something that I do want to keep around me because it does mean a lot.
Nice. So what's your favorite nail?
Another role was the compromiser. The compromiser operates from within a conflict in which their idea or proposition is.
Now that we've seen a little inside of what I've been up to this semester, let's go into some of the projects that I have completed during the semester. Our first project was our first information speech, was how to adopt a dog from a shelter. Our second info speech was our interviews, which we did about one another. Third was our Minds Have chapters, which I had chapter 12, organizing your speech. And lastly, we did have a group project with 12 Angry Men. So, some of the things that I have improved on throughout the course is I have learned how to effectively take note cards to prepare for a speech, as well as verbal and nonverbal ways to communicate with one another. I also learned how to encode and decode messages during my presentation to be able to help my audience and get the information that they need to understand what my topic is about. So, for example, in this video, I will be showing you how this was my first time doing the assignment for our information speech videos, and how nervous I was, how maybe unprepared I was compared to all the other times that I have presented.
What to research? When you want to research an adoption shelter, you want to look locally. Searching up what shelters are near your area is very important. There are shelters with a surprising amount of dogs and other animals to pick from. One shelter is located in New York that I have personally went to and has done a great job being able to pick their pet owners and match.
As you can see in this video, I am very fidgety. I'm leaning side to side. I don't know what to do with my hands. It is because since this is my first time doing it, I am learning ways to what to do with my hands and when to start moving and how to use the room effectively while teaching my speech. Another thing that I have improved on was how to make sure my audience understands what topics I am talking about. So, another thing was also how to be confident enough to do so while you are presenting. I was able to improve my skills for presentations. I had always been nervous, as you can see in my last video, shaky, moving my legs, but towards the end of the semester, I did learn new ways to use hand gestures, how to move around the room to be able to entertain and inform my audience. Now this is a video from my information speech 2 interview with Angelique. And basically, you will see how I feel more confident in myself. I'm using nonverbals and verbs to communicate with her during our interview. And so, look.
What were some struggles that you faced in creating your nail business at 15?
So one of the struggles that I did face was trying to build clientele. So at 15 years old, you don't really know people, you know, you're just your friend group. So I think trying to get people to come to a new nail tech who's only like this young, 15 years old, was one of the biggest struggles to do, but overall it was something that was accomplished, and now I have a great deal of clientele.
So as you can see, I feel very comfortable with Angelique engaging in the conversation. This is something that I noticed I did improve on. As of last time, I wasn't as engaged with my peer. As of the second time, I was very engaged with my peer. We did research about each other to get able to know each other and be able to actually do this project thoroughly and effectively on how we were supposed to. Now I'll be showing you a clip of how I use encoding, decoding, how I use note cards and vocals to be able to present which was something that was completely different compared to my first info speech.
Yielding status or admitting to their error by disciplining them to maintain a group harmony or by coming halfway and moving along with the rest of the group. Juror number 5 was an example of these due to how he did help sway the jury towards a not guilty verdict. He had solid evidence that was found and gave the confidence to stand up against the other jurors about his decision. Juror number 5 had been able to give the sense of compromise by, while initially hostile towards the idea of reasonable doubt, he eventually switching his vote after a key piece of evidence is re-examined. He did grow up in the slums as well as the kid that is being charged, so he did have first-hand experience with the tough environment of his upbringing. So it was very hard for him to compromise, knowing how life is in the slums. He also was very offended at the generalizations that some of the
As you can see, in this speech, I am not very much moving around the room, which is something that I did notice and which is what I'm putting into my video now. Using my hands is a very effective way to get the audience's attention and start to wrap them in as I'm doing right now. I feel very much more confident. I knew what I was talking about. I was able to share with the audience what it was, how it works, why I chose those things for those reasons, and which honestly you can see throughout my first and my last how even through my body language how much more comfortable I feel and how much I did improve during the semester. So another thing that helped me improve during my journey was our outlines. So outlines have been such a great deal of help to me. Having an outline makes a clear path of what needs to be done and said. It is your guide to your presentation, and overall, you have a set up plan of what you're going to be talking about throughout your whole project. So as you can see, I start with my transition, which is how you go into your speech instead of just starting right at it. It's something that brings your audience in, let them have a clue of what you're going to be talking about. And then here we have our body, which is our main points, and then our subpoints. Our main points are the main topics we will be talking about, and our subpoints are little things that add on to the main point to get to where it really is. These had honestly prepared me so much during the semester. It helped me know what I was going to talk about during my speeches, and whenever the professor would look at it, he'd let us know what would needed to be done to help our presentation improve. And honestly, this was something that really did help me, my peers, and hopefully everybody this semester. Another form that was very effective to us was our feedback forms. So this one is from my first info speech with Mia. She talks about how I demonstrated thoughtfulness and how I made selections of what to do during my presentation, how, you know, I do reiterate the main arguments and my conclusion, and I did have well-crafted transitions. And she does talk about how I do use limited language, which is something that I did try to go into my next project, trying to expand and broaden my horizon to be able to not limit my speech as Mia had stated. But I did mention how she does mention how I maintain deliberation and attentiveness, contact, how I do talk in a conversational manner, and that generally I did use the space good and with my surroundings, which I can also agree but disagree. I did wish I did use more space of my environment, but it's something that I did use to improve on for my next projects. Another feedback form that helped me throughout was the interview speech evaluation form from Angelique. So she talks about how I show enthusiasm, I connect to the audience, how I stay on topic, avoid awkward pauses, which I tend to do, and I can see that I still do that, which is something I'm still trying to improve on. I had visuals on the board that related to the questions, vocals were good, I was enthusiastic, I had appropriate pauses in between. My posture was nice, prepared, was studying, taking notes. So as you can see, this had also helped me very much know what I was doing good. So there wasn't much to improve on this, but it did show me that the comments that Nia did leave me before did come into play, and I did use them into my next project, which led to this wonderful evaluation form from Angelique, where she doesn't really critique anything because of how I took those tools and used them to help myself improve. So I was able to take these evaluation boards and put them into my next speech, and it also helps us know what we're doing good and criticizing on what needs to be improved, which is helpful due to how by being a student and giving feedback to your other peers really helps you guys connect more. So now, where do I take my newfound skills? Well, I take these newfound skills into my day-to-day life, work, outside, around campus, due to how these are skills that can help you just communicate with one another, communicate with your professors, communicate with your peers, communicate with your boss, as well as it does prepare the student to have skills for presentations and speech projects, learn how to speak with confidence, and also how to encode and decode messages and interpret them and be able to receive them and how to reciprocate it back to your audience. This would be a great deal to my career due to how in criminal justice I will need to present cases and communicate with my peers about topics about the job. This will help effectively for me to be able to communicate, give verbals and nonverbals to my coworkers, or how to effectively write a report or a presentation to show my peers for any situation or circumstance.